Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing
Yes.
so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you have forgotten, Nurse Mark
How do you
wrote,
start your day off the AFA way? You look in the mirror and you say, I'm absolutely fucking amazing.
breathe in.
Even when you don't really believe it, say it every single
Yes,
day because you are at your core absolutely amazing.
exactly as you are. And sometimes too,
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie, sometimes I need a little reminder.
you
And do you
need a
know what
little
really,
reminder.
oh my God, I love that hat. The little reminder for me sometimes happens when I'll shift to what really helped me, to think about myself in a different way. So I give gratitude to cannabis every morning. Cannabis opened up my eyes, my whole world, all of my senses to perceive and interpret things in a different way. And so
Yeah.
then other things started to filter into my life that started to make more sense, that didn't make sense anymore. Your
Uh-huh.
book is one of them. Absolutely fucking amazing. Has touched the core of me. And
Oh,
the reason why, and Mark, and here's the reason why,
yeah.
is because when people are in chronic pain, or you have a chronic illness and it flares up,
Mhm.
you have, like issues of like you just think all of these things come at you,
Yeah.
and physical health. I'm not going to lie, as a nurse, I took it really personal. I mean, I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I took it personal. I shamed myself. I stigmatized
Yeah.
myself because I was like, I've been a nurse for 25 years. I can't figure out how to take care of myself.
Right.
Nothing's working. And I
Right.
felt like an absolute absolute fucking failure. That's how I
And
felt.
that's not the case at all.
It's not the
And,
case.
there's
Just
a good
because you,
example, Sherry. There's a good
yeah.
example. People identify themselves as who they are in the world at that moment. Like, I
Yes.
I was CEO of my own company for 30 years. When I sold that company, I had an existential crisis because who was I? Oh my God, I
There
was
you go.
CEO for 30 years. Who the fuck am I now? Like,
I
we
can,
identify with our jobs, with our roles, with our whether we're married or not, by our relationships, all of that stuff is absolutely meaningless. At the core, we're
at the core.
absolutely amazing, perfect, whole, and complete human beings.
Yes. And so here's the thing, if
Yeah.
you're out there, okay, this is just really important too, because I've been there. From
Mhm.
high functioning, if you go, this is what happened, went from high functioning to not functioning at all. I can totally 100%
And you were
agree
still
with you.
absolutely amazing in both those extremes, Sherry.
Right. And that's
That
the
never
part that,
changed.
exactly. But I thought it did because I couldn't do what I used to do. Right. So it's
That's
about
right.
doing and
Because after
being.
all, you're a human doing, not a human being.
So getting sick forced me to be a
Yeah.
human being. I had to
Yes.
stop doing to
You
heal.
had to just be. And isn't it so hard to go from being a human doing to a human being? I mean, it's rough, you know?
Really rough, especially when your life is full, single mother of three,
Yeah.
child with a disability, working 50 hours, great job in the hospital, and then all
Yep.
of a sudden it's gone. Who was I?
Mhm.
Who
Mhm.
was I? I can't take care of my kids. I can't take care of myself. No one can figure out what's wrong with me. They can't even take care of me. There's something wrong. I am, the AFF. So then,
Right.
it was
Right.
cannabis that opened up my eyes, my ears, opened up my brain, my head cracked open, and I was pulled out of that story of sickness and illness,
And it
and
was
was
a
able to look,
story. Yeah.
and it was a story, right?
Yeah.
And now, guess what? We get to write a new story.
You get to decide. You really do. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's work. It's work.
it's work.
It is. You
But
got
you know
you
what?
you
You're
have
worth
to
it.
do it.
You're worth it.
You're worth it. You are
You're worth it.
absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
Of course.
No.
Because the shame would be if you never lived your life, the way you wanted to live it. And
Yeah.
most people just don't end up living the life that they wanted to,
Well, that's the interesting thing too,
right?
is, we've been having some end of life discussions in my family.
Yeah.
And, it's like, how do you, just think
Mm,
about it. When you get to a certain age, it's important just to think about, how many more years do you want to live? How many years do you think you're going to live?
mhm.
And where do you want to be at the end of your life? Right. So these are really interesting things. So these are things to even think about now.
Hard conversations, right?
Really
People
hard
don't want to talk
conversations.
about that kind of thing, but hey, I'll throw something out there. Today might be your last day. You have no idea. I can't tell you how many friends I've had who have just 1 minute they're here, the next minute they're gone. Aneurysm, car accident, whatever it is. This may be your last day. So, how do you want it to be? What's that last thing that you want to be going through your head? Well, we have hospice experience, right,
A
Sherry?
lot.
So, in the hospice space, it's always the regrets about the things that they did not do, not the things that they
Exactly.
did.
Exactly.
Always. I wish
Exactly.
I had done.
Yes. And just
Yeah.
imagine there was a quote from someone that was out there that said, 20 seconds could change your life, right? And even a positive way, taking the risk, to do something
Yeah.
different. Just take those
Yeah.
20 sequends
Oh,
and
yeah.
do it. Just do it. Say yes. Say
Yep.
yes to life,
Yep.
in the best way you can, is what's
Totally.
appropriate.
Yeah. And that's a good segue into the daily love.
I
So
love
here
the
we
daily love.
go. Ba, ba, ba. Daily love comes from the Daily Word today. And it's really a good one, Sherry. You ready? Here we
I'm
go.
ready.
It's called friendly.
There we go.
I
Friendly.
enjoy being friendly. Do you enjoy being friendly, Sherry?
You know what? It's so much easier to be friendly than it is to not be friendly, because when you're not friendly, there's so much energy that goes into not being friendly,
Oh, so
right?
much
And then
story making.
well, that's it. It's a story making situation.
Yeah,
And then you feel guilty and you create more stories. So it's
yeah.
really, you're right. It is much easier to be friendly. It's
So
much
here we
easier
go.
to smile.
Yep.
All right, go ahead. You read. You read.
The world is made brighter when people reach out in kindness and love. Today, I make a commitment to brighten my corner of the world by being friendly. It takes only a moment to share a caring word or considerate act, but it can completely change someone's day. When I get preoccupied with my thoughts, I remind myself that I want to be a welcoming person. I become open and responsive to the world around me. My open hearted nature is inspirational. I share a laugh and start a chain reaction of joy. I show interest in someone and encourage them to share. Through my openness and welcoming nature, I invite those around me to express their friendliness.
Oh, that's so
You
beautiful,
can
my
change
friend.
somebody's world. Don't minimize the power that you have.
Right.
That's the message that I got out of that. You being friendly to someone today when they're having a not so good day could change their world.
Here it goes. Here's another way of looking at it too. We bring
Yep,
hope and inspiration for growth and healing.
sure.
So being friendly, you even mentioned about it, can bring inspiration to someone, right? So just think about how many people are out there that aren't friendly, that, you know what I mean? So you just think about, you see a friendly face, a friendly person, a friendly smile. What does that do?
Yeah,
It brings you a feel good feeling. It brings that inspiration, being in spirit. Wow, there are
yeah.
good people out there. And guess what? It
Mhm.
starts with you. Can you imagine you being that catalyst, to
Yeah.
bring hope and joy to someone else by just a friendly word,
Oh,
a
yeah.
smile, opening up the door,
You
reaching
can
out.
change someone's life
Right.
just by that smile that you carry around. Absolutely 100%. Again, don't minimize the powerful person that you are in the world. Like your corner of the world is the world. So
It's the
get out and
world.
be friendly, everybody.
Be friendly. So who do we got here this morning? Who's joining
Oh, we
us?
got a ton of people on here. Hey, Brian, Beth, Glenn, Jack, what's up?
Jack,
Nancy,
Nancy.
Jax, yeah, Nancy, yeah.
Good
Okay.
morning.
Welcome aboard, everybody. All right.
Yes. Thursday. Ooh, let me
So
see if I got.
Throwback Thursday. Yeah, Throwback Thursday. Sherry is so good and so organized, and she puts notes together and she gets the show outlined and everything like that. I'm completely the opposite. I have nothing prepared. I just pull it right out of my ass. Here we go. Now, you know what we're going to talk about this morning?
What?
We're going to talk about the war on drugs.
There we go.
It's an
There we go.
unwinnable war, Mr. President. It's an unwinnable war.
Well,
All
that's the
right.
thing is when you bring, listen, I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, when you make war on anything,
Yeah.
what happens? There's a fight.
It's a fight. It's a
right?
battle. And
It's a
so who are
battle.
we fighting? This war on drugs. Who are we fighting? We're fighting our own brothers and sisters
We're
in the
fighting
United States, our fellow people. That's the
we're
war. The war is on not on drugs. The war is on people.
people. It is. And it's on people that have started the grassroots community, the people that
Yeah.
understood this
Hmm.
plant from the very beginning.
Right.
That to me,
Right.
that makes me mad. However,
Right. And it
I don't
should
want
make you
to
mad because
here. Yeah,
cannabis
go ahead.
specifically, Sherry, cannabis
Yeah.
specifically, and actually it's all of them. It's always been about controlling people, and it's always been about race.
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
just the facts. Those are the facts. It's been a
Control.
race-based war. And so, going all the way back to 1937 when they passed, the Senate that passed the Marijuana Tax Act,
Yeah.
which was against medical advice, by the way. The American Medical Association testified in Congress that it was ridiculous to
Yeah.
outlaw cannabis, right?
Yep.
Because they knew that
Absolutely.
research needed to be done.
Well, Mark, we
Yeah.
all know this, that
Yeah.
prior to what is it, 1935, there were
Yeah.
over 600 preparations of
Yes.
products that existed in
Yep.
those pharmacies that
In the
had
pharmacopoeia.
the
Yeah.
pharmacopoeia,
Yeah.
600
Right.
preparations of products. That's a
And these were
lot.
major drug companies that were producing them, Sherry.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was medicine. So in 1937, the Senate passes this race-based because it was racially motivated for the 5 years prior. It was about scaring white people. It was a depression. Everybody was on edge anyway, right? Sounds familiar, right? Everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
They used
Everybody's
scare tactics. They said if you don't watch out, your kids are going to be sleeping with black people. I mean, it was just horrible the things that they said. And Harry Anslinger, was the major orchestration point for this, and it was all race-based. And so they scared white
yeah.
America, and the Senate, which were all old white men, agreed and passed the Marijuana Tax Act. But did you know, Sherry, in that same year that Senate refused to pass an anti-lynching bill? Kind
They
of funny. That
refused.
same white Senate
Ooh.
refused to pass an anti-lynching bill. So they said it's okay for you to hang black people, but you can't use cannabis.
Can I tell you? Wait a second. I
Let
didn't
that
know
sink
that.
in for a minute. So that was the political machine that you had in play. The people you had in power at that point were racist, and they did not care about anybody other than white America. So that's the beginning. Now, this war on drugs, this was another wonderful white old man racist son of a bitch named Richard Nixon. And you remember Tricky Dick. I can remember, I was a little kid. I can remember him
Tricky
getting on
Dick.
the helicopter and waving goodbye as he gave up the presidency because he was about to be prosecuted for being the dirty son of a bitch he was.
Wait,
So I'm not going to hold back today, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I do. I remember it very clearly. It's one of the memories,
Yeah.
So he was the one who won his presidency on scaring white America that it's the war, it's the drugs. The drugs are the biggest thing that's the polluter of America. Well, here's the underlying reason. Tricky Dick did not like hippies. He didn't like the anti-war movement.
Ooh,
And
Tricky Dick.
hated black people, hated them. And so in the late 60s, you had social change. You had an anti-war movement. You had a black power movement. Remember Black Panthers and Black Power. And it was,
Right.
the African-American people were standing up for their rights. So, it was a moment in time where he was the president and he could call the shots. So he created this term, the war on drugs, and white America got behind it because he used fear, of course,
Right.
fear that the hippies and the blacks would take over. And so even his cabinet members, John Ehrlichman acknowledged in an interview after he had exited the White House, he acknowledged that this whole war on drugs was absolutely racially motivated and that they
Yeah.
knew it, and that they couldn't come out and say, hey, we want to persecute black people and we want to persecute this anti-war movement and the hippies. They couldn't come out and say it. So what did they do? They created the war on drugs and they started to get busy.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you think about it, um, all of these trillions of dollars that we've spent and continue to spend in prosecuting and persecuting this war on drugs is really about putting people in jail that don't belong to be there. They
Mm,
don't belong there, I should say.
no,
You know, I mean, addiction is
is not a criminal offense.
it's not a criminal offense. It is a mental illness. It literally
Exactly.
changes your brain. You take a drug, it changes your brain. You have this affliction. And so
Right.
putting you in jail does not solve the problem.
No, it
But
does not.
for generations, we've created this situation where we put people in jail and break up families. And, you know, it's been this awful, awful mess where we have
Yeah.
literally inflicted suffering on people that we could be helping. So I don't know about you, Sherry, but I'd sure like to see this war on drugs end and all of
Yes,
that money go back into actually treating people.
I
And
agree.
even more than that, giving them opportunity so that they don't feel like they have no hope,
Yeah.
right?
No, exactly.
End
Well,
of the
here's the
day,
other
it's
thing
about
too.
hope.
And then the other topic that goes along with this is what about harm reduction? Right? So we
Yes.
have harm reduction, it's we even talk about harm reduction for all different people.
Mhm.
This is even using traditional pharmaceuticals. It gets to a point in time when someone's on so many different pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
I look at that. We
Yep.
look at that. Like even I took care of a patient that was on so many pharmaceuticals, and basically, they were looking to treat all of these mental health disorders that she had. And I'm looking at her pharmaceuticals. I was like, you know what? I don't know. I said, maybe we need to look, let's go talk to the doctor about all of these things that are going on, because I'm wondering if some of these pharmaceuticals are completely 100% contributing to what's going on with her. And cannabis is a great tool. I said, but we also need to look at all of these other things. And sure enough, when the daughter of the person we were taking care of, you know, she was addicted to these drugs, 75, 80 years old on all of these drugs. And of course it changed her mental thing. She wasn't mentally ill, and she wasn't harming herself. So in other words, she wasn't going to kill
Right.
herself or kill someone else, but she was deteriorating
Right.
quickly, rapidly. And so the harm reduction piece of it is
Mhm.
introducing a plant that can completely bring homeostasis and balance back to her body by
Yeah.
with and decreasing these drugs. So a harm reduction tactic can go as far as, heroin addicts, people that are doing all kinds of other drugs, opioid addiction, alcoholism,
Mhm.
introducing other types of substances that are going
Yeah.
to really work with our body.
So Sherry, what would happen if we treated the addiction in the United States and the demand for the drugs was decreased? What would happen?
Well,
As a
I
natural course of that, you wouldn't have as much problems with people who are dealing drugs, right? Because the
exactly.
demand would decrease. It just makes sense. Now, not only, is the war on drugs affecting people here in the United States by putting them in prison and breaking up families and creating all this social unrest. No, no, no. We're also involved in other governments and other countries, right?
Mhm.
In a very big way. Think about
All right, so
Colombia, where
share,
we used to
share, yeah,
spray the
share it with
jungles,
us.
Mexico, Colombia, the Middle East, all of these areas where you know poor farmers are trying to make a living. They grow these crops that generate big money for them in comparison to what they have the ability to work with. And so,
Right,
like 50,000 lives a year are lost in Mexico in this war on drugs. And we're told as white people that we're killing those drug dealers. These are the people who are dangerous. And well, yeah, if there's a way that money can be made, people are going to go for it, right? So if we
right,
decrease the need for the drug, the
right.
demand,
The demand. Yeah,
it's so yeah. So I think
it
I
just
think
makes sense.
we're all in agreement. We're
We
all in
all
agreement.
are in agreement.
But,
Yeah, and
I
then
mean, it's
the
just like, when Ronald Reagan came in, he increased the penalties for possession of cannabis, right? Remember his wife's famous saying was just say no. what did we hear? What did we say when we heard this?
And I
Just
hear
say no. Yeah. It
just
was
say no. Just say no to you. That's
it was ridiculous. And then they had
it
the
is.
DARE program, right? The DARE program.
Oh,
They had the DARE officer in school. You know what? They discontinued that program because they figured out it was just such an utter failure.
well, not only
Didn't
just
do
an utter
anything.
failure. So here it is what
Not
it does.
because I mean these folks had, good intentions, but it just is not the way it's going to be treated.
Well, this is the other part with the DARE program that I've heard actually working with a child, a teenager, almost 19 years old, who at a young age was addicted to heroin. And so when I asked him what made him use heroin, what made him try it, he said, I didn't think it was going to be that bad because it was on the same schedule as cannabis. And I see
Yeah,
adults using cannabis all the time. There's
yeah,
medical programs, there's adult use programs,
yeah,
everyone's using cannabis. Heroin's on the same list as cannabis. So I thought it was going to be safe. I thought you were all lying to me. So
yeah.
can you imagine that coming from a teenager?
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And then interesting too is like this is the interesting thing. My kids. So when I was creating the Green Nurse Patient Handbook, writing all of this, I had them look at it and said, "So what do you guys think about mom being a marijuana nurse, not cannabis?" Because I used cannabis in the entire document. They didn't know that marijuana and cannabis was the same thing.
mm-mm.
That to me was like they didn't know. They go, "That's not what we learned in school." And I said,
Yeah. I
time
know what we learned in school.
it's
Yeah,
not
what
what
we
we
learn
learned in
in
school.
school is what's presented, not what's true.
Well, this is the interesting thing too. They
Yeah,
go, "Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed?" I go, "Are you kidding me?" And then the education came in. Massachusetts cannabis has been legal since 2012 for
yeah,
medical. Adult use is about to pass, and so it was really interesting educating our children, pulling away from how the history's history, but history can be wrong, right? And that's the thing is being able to educate them on what happened in history
yeah.
and how we're trying to make it better.
I mean, we are
Just
trying to
getting
make it better. So there's some
yeah,
things that have happened as of late. So the Global Commission on Drug Policy in 2011 stated that the global war on drugs has failed. Now, the
yeah,
commission
there
was
you
made
go.
up of 22 self-appointed members, including a number of prominent international politicians and writers. And the US Surgeon General also released the first ever national prevention strategy. So in
There you
2012,
go.
the US government published an updated version of its drug policy, right? And they said it's somewhat different than the war on drugs because they see this policy as a third way to approach the drug problem, to control drugs. And it's based on the results of a huge investment in research from some of the world's preeminent scholars on the disease of substance abuse.
Hmm, there you
Yeah,
go. The disease of substance abuse.
right, right.
Yeah,
Yep.
interesting.
So for the
Interesting.
first time, they're really saying, we have to take our focus off of trying to eradicate the supply. We really need to work on reducing the demand by spending money supporting people in addiction and recovery.
Right.
So that's was a shift. So we're moving in the right direction. We still have a long way to go, obviously,
Yeah.
especially with cannabis, because it can't be at the federal level non-medicinal and medicinal everywhere else. It's
Yeah.
either a medicine or it isn't, and it is.
Exactly. And it is a medicine.
And it is. It
Exactly.
was, and it is, and it always will be.
Yeah.
So, we need to move on that.
We
And
do
that's
need
why
to move
we're
on
all
that.
here, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you just think May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we've been
Yep.
covering mental health, all of those different areas of mental health, depression, anxiety,
Mhm.
PTSD, complex
Mhm.
PTSD, insomnia, panic disorder, bipolar disorder,
Yeah.
OCD. So we have all of these
OCD.
things.
Oh,
Oh,
we
yeah.
love OCD, don't we, Sherry?
We love OCD. OCD is really funny. Oh, when you can become aware of your OCD behaviors, you'll
Yeah.
crack yourself up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And listen,
Yes.
these things can come and go, by the way. They can be transient. I know
Yes.
I can remember specific instances in my life where I had OCD moments where it was like I had to do these things or compelled to do these things. And, for me, they passed. For some people, they just continue and
Right.
grow and grow and grow
Grow
until
and grow.
yeah.
Yeah. So the whole point too is that when I'm trying to tie in the mental health piece of it,
Yeah.
is that the comorbidities with addiction and mental health, you a lot of times you see them hand in hand with
Well,
people
of
that are
course.
abusing drugs and alcohol because they're looking for a way to medicate because nothing else works.
Self-medicate. Sherry, I mean, before I was diagnosed with depression, in my adolescent years, prior to being diagnosed, I was most certainly self-medicating.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is what's so cool too, is using cannabinoid therapeutics as a harm reduction tool,
Mhm.
as a way to teach people how to bring balance to all of their body systems,
Yeah.
and to teach people how to self-soothe, how to regulate emotions.
Right.
Cannabinoids come in and they can actually bring you that inspiration to
Yep.
start doing other things for your own health and
Right.
wellness.
And
Yeah.
it's exciting to think that cannabinoids are now being studied very much in the addiction space. So
Mm,
being able to use cannabinoids specifically to help people be released from their addictions. And the
exactly.
shame of the matter is that, it still is not allowed, right? In the methadone clinics, I share this a lot because I have friends and, family who've been through this experience where they want to be off of the opiates. They want to live a better life than they're living now. And they go and they seek treatment and they get into the methadone clinic. And if they test positive for cannabinoids, they're kicked back out on the street. And that is that's just criminal because
Yeah.
the cannabinoids, cannabis, as we know, can be very effective in helping people be released from their addictions.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
think about it, when you enter into recovery and
Mhm.
patients, they come, they're hopeless.
Mhm.
They basically, you think about every single organ system, if they're using alcohol, has been affected. The brain changes. Usually
Yeah.
they're dehydrated, they're
Yeah.
malnourished,
Yeah.
lose muscle. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on when someone finally enters into the space. They're at their lowest of low in mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
And what a great opportunity to use plant medicines to help them to get back to living their best life. Seriously.
We bring it back around to cannabis,
We got
don't
to bring it right back around to cannabis.
we? Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So Throwback Thursday, Nurse Mark.
Woo!
Awesome job. Love it. I think this is a great topic to bring up every now and then because there's a lot of new people that are coming on that are watching and that don't know the history, and the history does
Right.
need to be
I mean,
shared as much
let's
as
put it in
possible.
context. There's like 1,000,000 people a year that used to be incarcerated. In the 90s, it was 1,000,000 people a year went to jail for drug offenses.
1 million a year since
1,000,000 a
when?
year. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's
Wow.
just that in itself is criminal. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the war on drugs is over.
I
Let's
think it's over.
let's not have a war at all. Let's have peace and let's treat people for the mental illness and the addictions that they have. Let's just
Yeah,
do
with
that.
here it is,
Make that
right? With
billions of dollars.
here it is.
Not gonna
Let's
be
be
easy though. Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. So here we go. We're going to tie this all in,
Yep.
right, to what we talked about earlier. Let's be friendly. Right?
Yeah.
Let's
Let's
be
be
friendly
friendly. Let's use love and kindness
and compassion, right?
and
And
compassion.
right.
Right.
So
Yes.
earlier we were talking about what it means to be friendly and how you can change
Uh-huh.
someone's life. Can you imagine working with someone and truly changing their life by just being friendly and just offering them something different that they're used to? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
being yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Let's
So
have
hope
an
and
AFA day.
inspiration
Let's go out.
for growth and healing.
Let's make May 20th friendly day.
Friendly day. Let's
That's
see
it.
if
It's
the
a
angels
national holiday. Everybody needs to be friendly on May 20th, okay?
May 20th. Okay,
You
let's
heard
see
it here
here.
first. Green nurses are putting the stake in the ground. This is World Friendly Day. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, yes,
May
yes.
20th.
May 20th.
Brand new. You
Okay.
guys were all here. You are all part of this. You're all part of the inauguration of Friendly Day.
Friendliness. And the angels have a message for you all.
Ooh.
You're a shining example of divine love, encapsulated in being so lovely that all of the divine breathes deeply at the sight of you. So here it is. Breathe in Ananda and know that the angels know that you are a shining example of love, light, and compassion. So yay, AFA day,
Yay.
everyone.
All right, guys, have an AFA day. And Sherry, oh my gosh, what are you going to say?
What
What's
am
it
I gonna
all
say?
about?
Well, it's all about joining us tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for another
Yes.
show. And then 9 a.m., we've got Frequency Fridays. And after that, want you all to have an AFA weekend and truly remember it is about living your best life and helping others do the same.
Happy Friendly Day.